Tonight, the official date released for when the ban on snapper fishing begins, and authorities investigate the circumstances of a fire deemed suspicious in Port Augusta.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. Snapper fishing will be banned for 3 years in all areas of the Spencer Gulf and West Coast under a state government plan to replenish diminishing stocks. The move has caused division in the fishing sector, with some local anglers supportive, while others fear it could damage their livelihoods.
Hauling in snapper by the boatloads. This was Port Augusta in its peak fishing era.
Well, back in the 60s, they used to catch thousands of them,
But since then, catching fish like this monster 15-kilo snapper has become nothing more than a fisherman's tale. Some say a snapper ban is 30 years too late.
We could see snapper stocks in this area decline significantly. Why? Everyone's got an opinion.
The 3-year prohibition will come into effect on the 1st of November.
The loss in our biomass of snapper is at a point now where we've had to make drastic action.
This Port Augusta tackle shop owner is supportive, but concedes his business could take a hit in the wake of the ban.
At every stage you look, there's always somewhere that they're trying to stop you go fishing.
Similar fears also felt in the southern Spencer Gulf, with professional fishermen and tourism operators facing uncertain futures. The state government offering $500,000 in compensation to help charters, as well as slashing the fishery licence by 50%. It's also considering introducing severe penalties for illegal fishers.
They will pay the price, and those fines will be more hefty.
Many waiting with bated breath to see the results in 2023.
As for the fish stocks, will they come back? I've not seen a lot of evidence to suggest that bans have worked on anything.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Police are treating a fire in Port Augusta over the weekend as suspicious, and investigations are continuing into its cause. Emergency services rushed to a house on Anstey Street in the early hours of Saturday morning to find it fully alight. The blaze gutted the home and caused more than $150,000 worth of damage. Thankfully, though, the occupants of the home were away at the time. South Australian police are investigating a number of aggravated robberies in gaming rooms across South Australia. The Australian Hotel Association says it's working closely with police and is encouraging regional venue operators to enforce safety procedures.
The same whether you're in Whyalla, Port Lincoln, Port Augusta, there's policies and procedures. It's about having a strong understanding of what should and shouldn't be done.
Anyone with information on these incidents is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. 4 drivers were caught under the influence of alcohol in the West over the weekend. One driver was pulled over on Saturday afternoon and allegedly blew more than double the legal limit. They were taken to the police station for further testing while the passenger waited with the car. Not long after, that passenger was found driving along the Air Highway. She was breath tested and allegedly returned a reading of more than triple the blood alcohol limit. Both drivers were charged and are both due to face court. Port Augusta's Nerilda nursing home has passed all safety standards after a visit from the aged care watchdog. The facility has implemented new measures to improve the quality of care after failing previous inspections.
Things are looking much more colourful for staff and residents at the Nerilda nursing home. Months after an inspection from the Quality and Safety Commission found the facility fell short in 10 of the 44 standards, it has bounced back.
We apologise to the families and the residents. We did have those gaps, but we've worked really hard to try to address them and to alleviate their concerns.
The home passing all benchmarks in a follow-up visit from the aged care watchdog.
It's a big weight off your shoulders.
It's overhauled the system, engaging existing staff in new training, as well as employing a nurse advisor to identify and tackle issues at ground level.
We take all the suggestions made by the Quality and Safety Commission very seriously, and we've taken steps to rectify all of them.
There's also been a conscious focus to improve the staff-resident relationship, with each employee getting to know a different person in the home over 3 weeks.
Just so they all know the resident, so they know the care plan, everything about the resident. They had to speak to family.
Management now has a strict focus of maintaining quality service, with inspectors able to turn up unannounced at any time.
So that means we should be compliant at any point and every point.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Port Lincoln City Council has released a bold new master plan in an effort to shake things up in the town's main precincts. Organisers are now calling on the community for their feedback.
A new community plaza and upgrades to the Peninsula walking trail, a small taste of what's to come for the future of Port Lincoln.
Just released our draft master plans for the foreshore, the CBD and the marina, and we really want people to have a really good input.
These artists' impressions offering a glimpse into what the town could look like in 10 years' time. The plan heavily focuses on upgrades to the foreshore, set to attract tourists and locals.
The tourism growth was another opportunity to look at. That's a strength. How do we build on that for the future, and how we build that industry to really put a profile around Port Lincoln.
The council says it aims to bring Port Lincoln into the 21st century by focusing on the finest detail, right down to the type of park bench, bins and bike racks being installed.
We really want people to have a good look at the plan, provide your feedback and ideas, because that really builds the future.
You know, they could open up the place and have more eateries, draw more people in, you know, mainly on the weekend. Not a lot of shops are opened.
One big idea that would ruffle some feathers would see this site in front of the foreshore transformed into an adventure play area, creating a unique destination for both tourists and locals.
Obviously people have very different ideas, and we're really looking at making sure our city is livable and it's easy to access.
The plan is open for community feedback until November. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. Still to come tonight, Kicktober is about to kick off for the month of October, and artists take up residencies in Broken Hill. Welcome back. Nominations are now open for this year's Port Lincoln Business Excellence Award. Hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, judges will be on the lookout for businesses which have gone above and beyond to help grow the local community. This year's awards night welcoming a special guest.
I've got an amazing lady coming over from Melbourne. Her name's Monica Meldrum, and she's the owner of a company called Whole Kids, very big into sustainability and environmental kind of issues around business.
Nominations for the awards close in mid-October, and for more information contact the Port Lincoln Chamber of Commerce. The Sit Down, Shut Up and Watch filmmaking workshops have kicked off in Whyalla. The week-long program is aimed to encourage those living with a disability to develop skills in storytelling and filmmaking.
Creative minds sharing big ideas.
Zombie clowns, pirates, so it's going to be interesting, I think.
On a desert island, time travelling, preventing zombies from taking over the world via time travelling.
Funded by Country Arts SA, this workshop held in the Defaces Youth Art Centre will see these aspiring filmmakers create a movie of their own.
We're running a workshop where we're teaching these great group of guys the skills they need to make a film and have a voice, tell their story.
No stone will be left unturned, with lots of different skills taught during the week.
And the costumes and the makeup and all of that sort of thing. And then later in the week, a lot of time will be put into the editing.
Art organisers say the initiative is a step forward for filmmaking in regional areas.
Great to be able to branch out and support different community groups all around SA, so yeah, it's fantastic.
And participants are excited. They say the sky's the limit.
I wanted to Times Square in New York. You go with those screens around the place.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Port Pirie West Children's Centre is gearing up for its Kidtober event, which is set to kick off from tomorrow. Local children will be provided the opportunity to participate in dozens of activities which are planned to be scattered across the town.
The aim of the game is getting kids outside this October. A small group of dedicated Port Pirie locals looking to bring some added excitement to the Mid-North.
We've jam-packed the calendar for the 2 weeks of the school holidays, so there's lots of things to do.
The event growing bigger every year.
Kidtober kicks off on the 1st of October. We've got a great range of events this year, so we've gone from an A4 page to an A3 size now.
The event organisers dreamt up the idea after they became increasingly concerned about the amount of time children were spending indoors on technology.
We just found that there was such an increase in children spending time in front of screens that we wanted to promote different ways to get out and about.
The solution, a call to action to Port Pirie's business community. From movies to wildlife shows. The month-long event giving those looking after the littlies plenty of options to keep them entertained.
Spring, it's wonderful weather, crisp mornings, beautiful days.
Get out and about in the region and explore what we've got in our backyard.
Events can be found on the Kidtober Facebook page. Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Golf News.
York Peninsula leaders are calling for a ferry service between Adelaide and Edinburgh to return. The proposal follows in the wake of a $110 million redevelopment plan to Glenelg's jetty. Kangaroo Islands Council has already put in a request for a ferry terminal to be included in the plans. The South Australian Government has commissioned a review into the project. More than 20 Whyalla community members have officially become Australian citizens, with a ceremony held at the local council chambers. Around 70 people attended the celebration, with the Whyalla Mayor calling this large number of applications a win for the community.
Many of them have been here for many, many years and have finally got to that point where they've put their applications in to become Australian citizen.
Ceremonies will now be held quarterly to accommodate the large amount of citizen applications in Whyalla. The Broken Hill Art Exchange has seen 2 artists take up a residency to create unique works. The artists are visiting the Silver City and excited to be back out in the desert.
2 different artists experiencing the same Broken Hill atmosphere.
So it was interesting to see how some things have remained the same and many things have changed as well.
It's changed so much. I'm so impressed. I don't think I've ever seen community like this.
Kevin McKay grew up in Broken Hill. This is the first trip back in over 40 years. His landscape paintings capturing what's new and old with the city.
I've been sort of following my own little personal memory tour.
Kevin will have an exhibition of his works at the local art gallery next year. For Beth Jessup, however, her perspective of the city is not expressed through brushes but through words. The Sydney poet amazed by the city's resilience over many decades.
I've walked the streets, I've met the people, I've seen it in their eyes. A once doomed town is rising up to challenge its demise. This wonderful community spirit that's rising up. And that's what I wanted to capture, and it's huge, it's so hard.
The 2 artists have submitted entries for the 2019 Desert Equinox Art Awards. Their works, along with many others, will be on display around the city, with the winners announced at the start of November. Beth and Kevin's visit was made possible by the Exchange's Artist in Residence program. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Broken Hill branch of animal rescue group Rana is urging drivers to watch out for shingleback lizards. With the weather warming up, the reptiles are emerging from their hibernation in search of water and food. Rana says they can be tough to spot, but is urging motorists to keep an eye out. Homeowners have also been told not to worry if they spot one in their garden. They're not that dangerous and will move on in their own time. Meanwhile, snake catchers in Whyalla are warning the season has kicked off early too, with a local wildlife park owner already attending 5 calls this spring. Scott Grant says it's important for residents to remain calm when confronted with the reptiles.
If people do come across snakes, don't harass them, don't try and kill them. 90% of snake bites occur when people try to kill or capture the snake.
And if you do spot a snake, it's recommended you call your local catcher. Stay with us after the break and look at the 2020 AFL season in Broken Hill, and we'll have the weather details with Alex. Hello again. AFL Broken Hill officials are already focusing on 2020, despite the 2019 season only just wrapping up. The league's chairman says there's a lot of positives to take away from this year, including a major boost which proved successful for the women's game.
Looking back on the 2019 season, it was more a goal-scoring bonanza than a low-scoring snooze fest.
We had so many players participating in the country championships in Port Pirie,
We had our under-15s in Jamestown for the North Adelaide Carnival. We've had a huge year.
A major positive of the season just passed, the establishment of a youth girls competition. West won the first ever grand final of the new fixture, coached by Paige Kai.
It's going to improve the Women's League in the next few years. You could already see it this year.
She says having junior girls now taking the field will feed into the senior women's teams, creating more players and a stronger competition.
Year by year it grows and grows. I think 2020 is going to be the biggest year yet. All the teams, this year it was a lot more competitive.
Looking to next season, Mr Schmidt says getting junior boys to stick with the sport must be focused on. The competition has seen a drop in teenage players.
They tend to wander off and find other pursuits in life, which are normally around iPads, computers and their mobile phones. We've got a few challenges in that area to continue and keep those young lads playing footy.
AFL Broken Hill will soon be holding a review of the 2019 season, extending the invite to local clubs, officials and umpires. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Now time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, Louise. We've had a bright and sunny day about the region with a little bit of cloud cover in the south. Port Augusta reached a top of 28 degrees, Port Pirie 25, Whyalla and Broken Hill 23, Adelaide 21, Port Lincoln 18. From the satellite, we can see a trough causing cloud to move over the north of South Australia with a high to the south, keeping the Spencer Gulf relatively clear. Moving on to tomorrow now, and on the Gulf waters, we can expect northerly winds tending northeasterly at 15 to 20 knots, with seas at 1.5 metres. The sun will rise just before 6 a.m. with sunset at 6:21 in the evening. It's looking to be another warm and sunny day. Woodner expecting a max of 34 degrees, Port Augusta 33, Corn and Cleve both 31, Whyalla and Port Pirie 30, 28 the expected top for Coffin Bay and Kadina, 27 for Broken Hill, Clare and Adelaide, Port Lincoln with an expected maximum of 25 degrees. Looking further ahead through the week now, and it's looking to heat up significantly on Friday. Port Lincoln with partly cloudy conditions expected through the week. Cleve looking sunny on Wednesday, fine and partly cloudy Thursday and Friday. Woodner with sunny conditions expected Wednesday and Thursday ahead of a hot and windy day on Friday, looking at a top of 40 degrees. Port Augusta also expected to reach 40 on Friday with sunny conditions after a sunny day on Wednesday and a partly cloudy day on Thursday. Whyalla and Kadina both looking sunny Wednesday with fine and partly cloudy conditions forecast for the remainder of the working week. Port Pirie and Clare both sunny on Wednesday, then fine Thursday and Friday, and finally to Broken Hill where it's set to be partly cloudy on Wednesday ahead of a sunny Thursday and Friday. And that's all for today's weather.
You're looking very sunny yourself. Thank you for that, Alex. And that's your local news this Monday evening. Thank you for joining us today. We'll have updates later as always, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.